Hey guys, ow, oh, ah, fuck, that's hot. Hey guys, it's that time of year. It's the Action VFX Black Friday sale. You can get up to 55% off, and I love these elements. I've used them for tons of projects in the past. You can do all sorts of things. You can light this boat on fire, you can light this building on fire, or you can even light this car on fire. I mean, you could like make this guy shoot a gun or change the weather from rain to snow. You can break glass, you can have magical spell hits, but none of those are as exciting as lighting things on fire, which is what I'm going to do in this tutorial today. I'm just going to break down when you get started with these elements, how you drop them in your After Effects sequence and start to use them to be able to composite, and then you can just light all sorts of things on fire without getting in trouble. That being said, we're going to hop over to After Effects and I'm going to break down some shots for you. I'm going to bring you through a sort of a live edit process of how I did those shots in the beginning. So I would take like this shot of the boat, drag it into a new composition. From there, I'm going to track it. In this case, I'll use the 3D tracker. You can use Mocha or the normal point tracker. I'm not going to go into detail on that. Points here that I like, create a solid. And look at that, it's a pretty solid track. And I'm actually going to use the normalize plugin. And now whenever I drag an element in, it will match that. So when you start a project, the first thing you want to do is organize everything. So in VFX here, I have embers, fire, gunsmoke, lightning, muzzle flares. And that's just so I can easily find stuff. This can easily get out of hand if you're not organized. Ground fire, that's what I was looking for. All right, so I'm gonna bring my ground fire in. And it already has a transparency to it. I'm gonna make it 3D. So you may have to adjust it based off your scene for what you need. So I'm just kind of rotating it here. Let's make it like the edge of the boat. So that's actually tracked pretty well. It already comes in pre-keyed, but you can go to your blending mode, make it screen, see how that looks, a little bland. Add that, always adds a little more fire. I like to kind of blend, duplicate it, make one of them kind of a screen, maybe put more of like a blur on it. So as you can see here, this bottom layer is more of the blur, this top layer is the fire, and you kind of get that glow to it now. If you actually see, the elements come in at 60 frames a second, so you may need to, instead of, you can either interpolate it there, but I'm actually going to just time stretch in 50, and that'll speed it up by double. And so you can see only 2 layers, we already have a pretty convincing fire. What I could do is, kind of drag it along and duplicate it into different areas, and then I'd probably kind of offset it here so it doesn't look exactly like that other one. You can see that's actually looking really, really good. All of a sudden, we've got a boat that's like pretty frantically on fire. You'd eventually add in reflection here, some interactive lighting, but for the purpose of using these elements, this is something quick that you could achieve here. If you wanted to do the interactive lighting, a quick way to do that would be to take like the orange of the fire, scale up that solid, draw like a quick mask around, where you think it would be. You can type in opacity flash random, chance of flashing, bring that way up, flash nervousness, and then I would drop that opacity to a little under. So with a quick solid, you can get a little flicker effect here. With a little more work, you can actually make it slightly better. And eventually, burn marks go on the boat and stuff, but I don't have those elements from Action VFX, but I will buy them this Black Friday. So moving on to another shot here. So this car is on fire, same thing, dragged it into a new comp. I'm gonna track it in the 3D tracker. This is another way to speed up your workflow if, you're gonna have this boat or this car in several shots. So I'm gonna copy the fire from the last one. It's going to be 3D, so it's going to be 3D to the last scene that you just did, but you can take the parent pick whip, shift, drag over to the track solid, and then just get rid of that parent. And what that does is reset the values to the new track. So I'll scale down here. Ooh, like that looks nice. Look at If I take the solid away, you can see everything on the door here. That's already looking good, and what helps is the car is destroyed. So the more practical things happening in your scene, the more these effects would sell. From there, I'm just gonna take more fire elements and layer them in. Like, ooh, this fire trail could lead up to the car. Drag it in, 3D it. Another thing to do with fires is you can take the falling ashes element and it will add just kind of that atmospheric effect. You could implement this into the scene more, but just dragging the falling ashes in there already come pre-keyed, and it's just like, look at that, it's already helping. But this is another good way to add like a little more atmosphere. Instead, if you don't have like trap code particular or something, you can take these elements and just add it to the fire for that extra little boost. Moving on to my favorite one. And what's cool about this, we already have gun smoke for reference. So now you can see it almost matches really well, except when it first comes out, it's super bright. And remember, these are shot in 60 frames a second, so it should hopefully match pretty well with this slow-mo. Yeah, look at that. It kind of blends in with the slow-mo already. The only problem is the blending. So even though it's already keyed, I'm going to take this smoke, put it into screen mode, and that just kind of helps, you know, technical things that I don't know how to explain. So what I do is I drop a levels adjustment on here, and I can actually adjust the brightness and the black levels here, and it'll just help blend it in a little bit more. What's helping sell this is the fact that there's already smoke in the air. Now, when you so the muzzle flare came in pre-keyed, awesome. Once again, that already looks great. Like for just placing it in, you don't really have to do that super much. I'm gonna try and slow this down a little bit, so like 125. Now, I like to throw my muzzle flares into an add mode and kind of throw in a gouge and blur. So that way they're not as sharp, because they wouldn't really be that sharp in real life. And I actually want to make this one a little bit bigger. Just like with two elements, we already have a pretty good looking muzzle flare. Something to add would be another like adjustment layer here. If you put it into overlay, if you look where like the speculars on the gun would be. And that should only last for however long your muzzle flare is on screen. So 1 or 2 frames. When you're editing an action scene with like 5 people shooting, and like good guys and bad guys, you need speed. You need to be speed. You need to be able to be quick and efficient, and the elements from Action VFX kind of help you do that. That's just kind of a quick intro how to do the muzzle flare. I could go into more detail, but Action VFX has already done a great tutorial on that. If you're looking at all to get into visual effects, they have free elements on their site, and I guarantee you're going to want to buy more. But if you do, I would buy them this Black Friday. I always get all the new elements on Black Friday. I did a lot of the fire effects here because that's something I do quite often, but they also have rain elements, cold breath, snow, broken glass, like spell hits. Like they have a lot. And again, they have free stuff. I highly recommend downloading some of the free effects they have on the site already, and I guarantee you're going to want to buy more. And if you do decide to do that, be sure to check out the link in the description. I can't recommend Action VFX enough. I hope this video is helpful. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment if you want to see more like this, or if you want to see more in-depth tutorials where I actually go through a scene I might have done before and break down everything I did, not just throwing elements in the scene that was tracked. Hope this was helpful and showed you a safe way to light something on fire without getting in trouble for it.